Salute BookTube. Welcome back to my channel. 3 month anniversary actually of my channel. I started this early May. I think I posted my first video on May 2nd. We're early August now. This will probably go out on the 3rd or the 4th of August, so 3 months. And it's flown by. This summer has gone really quickly, and it's mostly, I think, to do with this new booktube channel that I've started, and it's grown. I've got a decent amount of subscribers and some regulars, and quite a few videos now under my belt, so it's going good, and long may it continue. Seeing that we're at the beginning of August, I thought I'd make a TBR video to show you what I've been reading. Again, I'm continuing what I'm trying to do this year, which is try to flush out some of the books that I don't want in my library. So read some books and get rid of them, especially the books I think I don't need to have in my personal library. With that, I want to say I do know that there are events going on in August. Two especially big ones that I'm hearing a lot about is Garb August, which is when you read garbage in August. And the other one is I think the name of it's Women in Translation, basically. These two events, again, I started this channel in May, right in the middle of the year, so I already had a lot of reading plans for 2025 before I started the BookTube channel. And for me to switch now and do a lot of these events might be a bit difficult. So I'm not going to do those events. I'll probably do them next year, assuming next year I still have this channel. But I'm sticking to what I had planned from the beginning of the year to try to flush out my library. That's not to say that in the future, if there are events and they match what I have or what I want to read, let's say in September or October or going forward, that I won't participate. But again, Garb August, I'm not too sure I'll be participating in. Might change my mind if I find something that's garb worthy. And the other one, the Women in Translation, I'm sure if I looked around I'd find Women in Translation in my library, but for now I'm not doing them. What I am doing is continuing, as I mentioned, what I'm gonna read in August is what I've been reading, and the same kind of themes to try to just sort of get rid of these books that I have in my library, my overstock library, which needs to be tapered down. For regulars of this channel, they know that I've been on a book reading project, reading my books related to the Caucasus region. This is Central Asia, a very edge of Europe, this region which consists of the Republic of Georgia, Azerbaijan, and Armenia, in a very isolated part of the world. I traveled there in 2022, and when I was there, I picked up a lot of books with the thinking that where I am from, and for those who don't know, I'm doing this from the heart of the Middle East in the United Arab Emirates. When I was there, I thought to myself, I'd never find books about the Caucasus here where I'm at. So while I'm there, I should pick up as many books as I can carry about the Caucasus. So I've been reading a lot of these books, and again, I don't need 10 books on the Caucasus. So I'm reading my library of Caucasus books and seeing what I want to keep and what I want to get rid of. I've been reading mostly about Armenia, but for this month I'm changing it up a bit. It's not only is it not a book about Armenia, this book is actually a work of fiction. It's by Kurban Said, and it's called Ali and Nino. I think this is very famous. I don't know in the West how well known it is. This book comes with an introduction by Paul Thoreau. Is it Paul Thoreau? I just double check here. It's in the back of the book, which is interesting. Usually the introductions are at the afterword by Paul Thoreau to this Anchor edition. And so again, I don't know how popular this is in the West. I think people from the region, from the Middle East as well, probably Russian readers, former Soviet Union, people will know this story. It's basically a sort of Romeo and Juliet, boy meets girl. The boy Ali is a Muslim, and Nino, the girl, is a Christian, and that creates a tension, almost like a Romeo and Juliet. But it's based in the Caucasus. It's unfair to just say it's a Romeo and Juliet Caucasus version. It's much deeper than that. It's a very popular book. I've read the first couple of chapters, and it's really it just draws you in right from the beginning. So again, for those who don't know, there is a map here. It's not the best map, but it's basically the Caucasus. You have maybe I can get a better map from the book I read last month, which is a history Armenia and the Armenians in the world. The map here, you've got Georgia, you've got Azerbaijan, and then you've got Armenia, and then it's buttressed by two lakes, the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea, and then it's also surrounded by powerful neighbors, Russia to the north, Iran to the south, and Turkey to the west. So it's a very difficult, and then you'll see just within, you'll see land which is still being fought over between the rivaling nations. So that's being fought between Azerbaijan and Armenia. There's a slither of land there. You'll see the number 1 and number 2, and that it's just very geopolitically complicated and complex. Added to that, and the isolation and the surrounding by nature and by powerful neighbors, you've got two mountain ranges, the Caucasus and the Transcaucasus. And then added to that, you've got there's the other split. It's not just ethnicity, but also sect. You've got Christians and Muslims basically living in a very, very small place, and that also creates tension, especially between Armenia and Azerbaijan recently. So this work of fiction, Ali and Nino, is a story, I think, based in Baku, although I think it goes all over the Caucasus, and it's popular everywhere. It's popular in Georgia, it's popular in Armenia and in Azerbaijan and beyond. Basically follows the love of a Muslim boy and a Christian girl in the Caucasus, and the what comes out of that. The other reason the other thing I wanted to mention about this book, because we're well into August now, and this is being recorded on August 3rd, probably released on August 4th. So I've already started reading. I already started this, but just at chapter 1, the first chapter, immediately took me to one of our fellow booktubers. Those who don't know her channel, I'll link it, and I'll link the video I'm talking about specifically in the description below. Angelina, and I think now I'm getting it correctly, the pronunciation. Angelina, her channel is called Books Do Things to Me. She made a tag video about childhood books, and for the childhood books, she covered her wall behind her with a very oriental sort of Russian, I don't know what it's called, a Caucasus type of carpet, a rug, an oriental rug. In her video, you got to check it out to understand what I'm talking about. But she mentioned that it reminded her of her childhood homes in Russia. They would use carpets on walls to help trap heat and keep houses warm in the winter time and the brutal Russian winters. I just opening the first couple of pages. I'm sure Angelina knows about this book, but I don't know if she's read it. But when you open it to the first chapter, if I can find I should have marked it. Now this is gonna go on a long time. I find it. Okay, it's right here. It was. Now I'll read it, and then you can get an idea. It says, now all of this was coming to an end. The final exam was only 1 week away, and I sat at home and pondered on the futility of Latin tuition on the coast of the Caspian Sea. I loved my room on the second floor of our house. Dark carpets from Bukhara, Isfahan, and Koshan covered the walls. The patterns represented gardens and lakes, woods and rivers, as the carpet weaver had seen them with his inner eye, unrecognizable to the layman, breathtakingly beautiful to the connoisseur. Nomad women in faraway deserts collected the herbs for these colors from wild thorny bushes. Long slender fingers squeezed out the juice. The secret of blending these delicate colors is hundreds of years old. Often it takes then a decade for the weaver to finish his work of art. Then it hangs on the wall full of secret symbols, illusions, hunting scenes, knights fighting, with one of Fardusi's verses or a quotation from the works of Sa'di, in ornamental script running at the sides. Because of these rugs and carpets, the room looks dark. There is a low divan, two small stools inlaid with mother of pearl, many soft cushions, and among all this, very disturbing and very unnecessarily, books of Western knowledge, chemistry, physics, trigonometry, foolish stuff, invented by barbarians to create the impression that they were civilized. Again, you need to watch Angelina's the tag video with the carpets hanging on the wall to understand why. But just that was from the first. That was in page, I think it was page 6 or 7 of this book. So it starts right away from there. So I thought I'd have to quote it in full. Again, the Oriental rug, and then this book it also starts that issue between the Orient and the Occident, and the Islamic East and the Christian West. That's even before the carpet scene. I don't know if I should also quote there as well, perhaps. It says some scholars look on the area south of the Caucasus Mountains as belonging to Asia, while others, in view of Transcaucasia's cultural evolution, believe that this country should be considered part of Europe. It can therefore be said, my children, and this is a teacher, it's a history or a geography teacher explaining to his students. It can therefore be said, my children, that it is partly your responsibility as to whether our town should belong to progressive Europe or to reactionary Asia. So again, very, very excited. This book starts excellently, and it's got a good reputation. I'm looking forward to reading it. And I'm actually going to read from the same author, although this isn't really dealing with the Caucasus. It's the same author, and it's close by. It's also by Qurban Said, and it's called The Girl from the Golden Horn. I don't know, this cover is not the greatest, but it's, again, from the author of Ali and Nino. And I think this is based more in Turkey and Istanbul. Yes, set in 1928. So, Qurban Said's classic novel of love and desire explores the clash of values between conservative pre-war Istanbul and decadent post-war Berlin, as well as tensions between Muslim and Christians. Ultimately, it's a story of one girl's choice between two worlds. Similar sort of theme, but same author, but a different novel. So those are two novels I'm hoping to read in August. I think I'll read the first one before I start. I'll read Ali and Nino first, and then I'll read this one after that. The other thing is, I think these are translated. So, and I was checking if I wasn't mistaken. I don't know the rules, so I don't know if this will fit in with Women in Translation, because the translation is by Genia Graman, and that sounds like a female name. Genia Graman. Genia is a woman's name, a woman's name. But I don't know the rules for Women in Translation. Does the author have to be a woman? Or does the translator have to be a woman? Or does the author and the translator have to be a woman? I'm not sure. This one, Qurban Said, they're not even sure who's the author. There's a controversy about who the author is. It could be a woman for all we know. So I don't know if somebody can let me know what the rules are for Women in Translation. If it's just the woman, it's enough for the woman, the translator to be a woman, then this will qualify. But if not, I think it has to be the author. Has to be a woman. The translator can be any gender, but the original author has to be a woman. So again, if we had known sooner, maybe I could have arranged it. But anyway, So Angelina is of Russian origin, and I think she's based close to where the Caucasus is. Her where she's from originally in Russia is not too far from this part of the world. So I think she identifies with it, and certainly the carpets she has on her wall in the winter certainly matches what we just read here. But Angelina doesn't live in Russia anymore. She lives in Slovenia, and Slovenia is right next to where the next person in my the next biography I'm reading, although he is originally from Austria, now he's become an American and he's a politician. Again, for those of you who are following this channel, I have a lot of celebrity books that I'm trying to get rid of. I have too many celebrity books. I just picked them up because I found them cheap. But as I'm reading them, I'm starting to find out that I just don't like celebrity books. So I'm trying to read them and get rid of them. And this one I'm also reading for Summer of Sport, which is you got to read a book about related to sport somehow. This is a biography of Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's called Total Recall. That's again my unbelievably true life story. It's not. It's an autobiography, but it's co-written or ghost-written with. Does he mention? Yeah, with Peter Petre. The funny thing is here, it's a Simon and Schuster book. That's the famous Simon and Schuster logo. But then look what they've done for Arnold. I think this is a special for Arnold or something. They've done a sort of Arnold Schwarzenegger version. But that's the sport part of his career, of his life. When he started, he made a name for himself as a. Try to find a good photo right there. Bodybuilding. So that's the sport. Of course, this book is. Going to be divided, as any biography of this individual is, by his bodybuilding early life, then his acting in the middle, and then him as a politician, most famously governor of California later in his life. So I don't know what to expect from this. Again, I've started a bit, a couple of pages. We'll see. Again, not the biggest fan of celebrity biographies, but I have them. I don't want to just get rid of them without reading them. I'm going to read them, slog through them, and then we'll see. If they're good, I'll keep them. If not, they can go and somebody else can love them. And this is on the same subject matter, another celebrity biography. Those of you who saw my last video about my wrap-up for July saw that I read this. This is a Paul McCartney biography by Philip Norman. And I thought, well, you've read about a Beatle, now you need to read about a Rolling Stone. And I have this, also a cheap pickup. I don't know why I got it. Maybe I thought the cover was... I don't know. But it's Keith Richards' life. And Keith Richards, there he is. He was part of the Rolling Stones. It's him and Mick Jagger, basically. Just like you have Lennon and McCartney, you've got Jagger and Richards, or Richards and Jagger. I don't know. I don't know. Again, I'm not a musical person. I don't play music. I'm not even a big rock fan. Rock and roll. I was not even born in the 60s and 70s when these guys were at their peak. But I have these, I picked them up. I used to pick them up in my younger, more idealistic book shopping days, where I just put things in the cart if they were cheap. And this was cheap, and I picked it up, so I'm going to give it to read. I've also started it, not bad start, because although I think it's also co-written, yes, it's Keith Richards with James Fox. But it's written in the autobiography style, the first person, I was born here, I grew up here. So like the Arnold Schwarzenegger, it's also an autobiography. This is written in autobiography style, so that's a bit different than the McCarthy biography, which was written as a biography. So we'll go next. So those are those, again, trying to clear my celebrity books library. No need for keeping them here. They're just taking up space. But I do want to read them before I get rid of them. The next book I'm reading, or the next couple of books, are related to what also I read, part of Historathon. I've been following Historathon from the beginning of the year. For those who don't know, Historathon is a year-long reading event here on BookTube where you read books, history books. It encourages the reading of history. And it's divided into 4 quarters of the year. And each quarter is a period of history that you read. So quarter 1 is prehistory to 500 AD or CE, and then quarter 2 is 500 to 1500, and then quarter 3 is 1500, which we're in now. Quarter 3 is 1500 to 1820, and then quarter 4 will be 1820 to today, to the present. So we're in quarter 3, July, August, and September. Last month I read this, The Island That Disappeared, by Tom Failing. It's Old Providence and the Making of the Western World is the subtitle. It recounts the story similar to what the Mayflower and the Pilgrims who went to America to start a new life there. There were a group of Puritans from the UK who also tried to colonize an island in the Caribbean. Didn't exactly work out as successfully as the one in Plymouth in Massachusetts, but this was a very interesting read. And I'm just continuing with more of the same for this month. I've got a couple of books of this part of this area of history, which I'm not very well read on, because it's really, for me, it's obscure history. It's European and American history. It's for lack of a better term, white people history. It's technically white Anglo-Saxon Protestants who left the UK and started colonies in America. So the first book is this one, Mayflower, by Nathaniel Philbrick, a famous author, which I'm hoping to read this month. And the second one is called The Journey to the Mayflower. The subtitle is God's Outlaws and the Invention of Freedom, and it's by Stephen Tompkins. So I want to read that as well. And again, just like the last book, an ambitious subtitle. So Journey of the Mayflower is pretty straightforward. But then this one, The Invention of Freedom, that's an ambitious subtitle. Just like this last book I read, which had and the Making of the Western World. Those are big statements. So I'll be very interested to read these and to see how it, what was the word? Invented freedom. I'll be curious and hopefully, again, read the first couple of pages, been interesting so far, but these are much denser histories, as is this one, the Mayflower. Again, we get the idea, the subtitle is actually A Voyage to War, which is, again, important because we get this idea that the Pilgrims or the Puritans, the Pilgrims, they crossed the Atlantic, they arrived at Plymouth, what did the Americans say? Was it Reagan who a shining city on a hill, and it's a new world and everything was great and it was all everybody lived happily ever after. That wasn't the case. A voyage to war, the discovery and the colonization and the settling of America was a ruthless, bloody event or chain of events. And again, read a little bit into the first couple of chapters of this book. It goes right away to mentions King Philip's War, and I always thought King Philip was some sort of French king. No, King Philip was a nickname for one of the indigenous Native American tribes who were in Massachusetts and who these colonists were encroaching upon their lands, and then there was a war and there was blood. So there's blood and it's messy and it was brutish, and so again, excited and very interested to read this. And then finally, the last 2 books I've got related. This last one is related to those 2, although a bit earlier and a bit different in its location to the first. Not too far, but anyway, this is by Peter Firstbrook, and it's A Man Most Driven. The subtitle, I hope it's clear, is Captain John Smith, Pocahontas, and the Founding of America. And that subtitle, I think, tells you all. It's pretty much a biography of John Smith, who I know from the Pocahontas uh, Disney animated movie. So I want to actually read a biography and see how accurate was the Disney movie and know more about this. I always get confused by Jamestown and the Virginia colony and then the Puritans in Massachusetts, and which one comes first, and why is the one in, I don't know, I feel like the one in in Massachusetts is seen more by Americans as the start of America. What happened in Jamestown, I don't know. Are they more ashamed? I think the one in Plymouth was much more. They had rules and a constitution, and it was democratic. The Jamestown colony, I think, was much more. I guess the word. What's the word? Like corporate sort of. It was a business venture more than a group of dissidents who were escaping to America for freedom. But I'll read this and I'll see, because I think Jamestown is older than the Plymouth colony. So I'll read it, and if anybody, again, my knowledge of this history, this kind of, is not as great as other, let's say, Middle Eastern history or even European history. So I'll be interested to read this. The last book I just noticed I had left, so I'm just 1 second. I'm gonna get out of frame. It's right here. This is by Raymond Khoury, and it's The Sanctuary. I was intrigued by this book because the author's name is Arabic. It's Lebanese name, so it's a very let's say Western first name, but the last name, and it's basically what it is. He is Lebanese, an author of Lebanese origin, and his books are. I actually read earlier in the year, I don't know if I hauled it in my previous videos, is two other books. I picked up these three books from the same author at I think it was a book sale. They were really cheap, like $1 each, brand new. So I just picked up all three. I read the first two. This is a third one. It's actually a different, it's not a sequel to the first two. It's a different story. But Raymond Khoury and his stories are very, they're the most similar thing. I don't know how to explain it. It's like, the most similar thing it is to Dan Brown's Da Vinci Code. It's an adventure historical story of some kind of archaeologist or art historian in the present, and it goes to the history and back and forth, and there's drama and there's murder and there's conspiracy and adventure. So I don't want to say he's exactly like Dan Brown. That's not the case, but it's a similar kind of genre. I don't know what the genre is called. But that's what the story about. This one goes between Portugal in 1705 and Baghdad in 2003. And reading again the first couple of pages, also Lebanon is there, Sicily is there, that kind of thing. Goes back to the Crusaders and the Templars. That's what a lot of this was. It is Templar Salvation and the Last Templar and the Templar Salvation. Also, same kind of thing. I think he wrote this, and it was stacked in a shelf at a publisher's, and they thought, well, they just kept it in a shelf. And then Dan Brown came out, and the Da Vinci Code went crazy, and I said, oh, we've got gold here, so let's release these out. Let's benefit from the Da Vinci Code, Dan Brown bonanza. But that's not to say that this is like Dan Brown. Raymond Khoury is a very good author. It's a very, very fast-paced, like a action movie sort of book. So I don't know if it qualifies for Garb August. It's got a lot of history in it. Makes you think. He talks here, just in the first couple pages here, the Phoenicians, and it's, I don't know. I'm reluctant to use Garb August and to put up a book and say this is garbage. Maybe I'll be too harsh, so I don't want to use that. But those are the books that I'm reading. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a very good August reading month. And I'll wrap this up, BookTube. Salute.